The Maple Leaf Festival here in Carthage is back for its 55th year. I'm Bronte Sorotsky with why people from all over the 4 states are attracted to this event.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, thanks so much for joining us this evening. I'm Mike Mahoney. The Maple Leaf Festival returns to Carthage for its 55th year. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky checked it out and tells us how this year's parade evolved from a marching band competition to one of the largest events in southwest Missouri.
What started in the 60s as a marching band competition has now evolved into a yearly tradition, bringing people from all over the 4 states to Carthage.
There are a lot of people come back to Carthage for Maple Leaf. It's a big deal.
The Maple Leaf Festival in Carthage is celebrating its 55th year of family fun with a hometown vibe.
This is our biggest event, so I would say this is one of our holidays here in Carthage. So everyone partakes in it. Everyone has their places that they go. Everyone has their people that they see and meet up with after the parade, before. It's a good time.
The event gets its name from Mother Nature, as it occurs around the same time that the leaves start to change and the area welcomes in the fall.
It's awesome. I mean, I love it. You know, the trees are starting to turn colors, so it matched up perfectly with, Maple Leaf Parade, and it's just a really good time to, come out and enjoy the cooler weather.
The festival has been going on for over a week now, but attendees say the parade with a Fall into Carthage theme is what people really come out for, especially the music.
I love to see the bands. It was a lot of fun. Thought Webb City's band was awesome. Just listening to them, come get some corn dogs, see the booths. It's just a good time.
Probably the bands, seeing a lot of places coming around, even far away, coming to this parade.
Whether it was someone's first or 55th time at the parade, people in attendance were ready to welcome in the fall season. In Carthage, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
All right, let's talk weather, and let's talk to meteorologist Nick Kelly. Nick.
We had a pretty cool start this morning, Mike. In fact, it was flat out cold as temperatures dipped into the upper 30s, 38 degrees at Joplin Regional. Not quite tying or setting a new record. That still holds at 31, set back in 1966. But with plenty of dry air and clear skies, we had no problems going back to 67 degrees this afternoon. This is a nice view after the Skywatch Storm Tracker was tracking numerous systems this week. Nothing to track this evening with an area high pressure still passing just to our south. While that keeps us quiet for the night, even with the southerly breeze trying to kick in, it's going to mean another cool start in the morning with overnight lows back near 45 in Joplin, lower to middle 40s elsewhere. But we're looking good again tomorrow, Mike, with highs near 73 with plenty of blue skies to enjoy. We'll see how the rest of the week's shaping up here in a bit.
Sounds good, Nick. Thanks so much. The Pittsdame homecoming festivities culminated with Gorilla Fest this morning, and it featured tons of students and alumni having a blast before the big game. Plenty of PSU faithful were ready to party at the packed Gorilla Village. There was no shortage of folks grilling and barbecuing, live music, fun and games for both kids and adults, and plenty of people partaking in a morning beer. Attendees also got to enjoy a pregame pep rally before kickoff. One PSU alumni tells KOAM why homecoming is one of his favorite events of the fall.
I think just seeing all my buddies that I went to college with and everybody that I enjoyed my time with here. I was here for 6 years. I got a master's degree and met a lot of people over the years, and seeing everybody back and supporting the Gorillas, man, it's the time to be alive.
And later in the show, we will have highlights from PSU's homecoming victory against Lincoln during your KOAM Sports Report with Sports Director Jacob Leonard. The Fort Scott Fire Department held an open house today to show off their new equipment. That new equipment included this beauty, a brand new ladder truck, and officials with the department were happy to give folks a demonstration. In addition to the new equipment, the fire department had fire safety demonstrations, including a smokehouse which children could practice escaping from. Officials say fire safety is the most important aspect of the event.
It's very important for children to understand the aspects of fire safety, how to react when your smoke detector goes off, and very important for adults and parents to understand how to make sure your smoke detectors are working and the monthly test that needs to happen.
And that ladder truck wasn't the only new piece of equipment on display. The department also managed to get another truck recently that they were proud to show off. It is now time to honor one of our many four-state heroes, and tonight we pay tribute to Eldon Harshaw of Oswego, Kansas. Eldon served as a seaman in the U.S. Navy and he fought in World War II. He earned a World War II Victory Medal and many other honors. Thank you, sir, for your bravery and for fighting for freedom. For more information on any of our 4 state heroes or to nominate your own, just log on to KOAMnewsnow.com.
It was nice to have a Saturday to enjoy absolutely open blue skies and a good jump in temperatures. Certainly deserved after we had to track quite a few storm systems throughout the course of the week on the heels of the last one that came on through yesterday with some rain during the morning and then gradually clearing things out throughout the day. Look at how the temperatures played out. We had morning highs in the mid 60s the other day and then bouncing between the upper 50s and lower 60s yesterday afternoon. But the cold front certainly lived up to its name, dropping back around 40 across much of the area to start this morning out, but we made no problems whatsoever pushing back into the mid 60s for this afternoon. It's a trend that will certainly take because we're seeing quite a bit of red on the monthly recap here. Normally October should be one of the cooler months going into the start of fall, but we had 83 on Sunday before that vigorous storm system came in, 71 Monday, back into the mid 70s through the middle of the week, but the past few days haven't been too bad with temperatures topping out in the mid 60s. From Indigo Sky Casino Resort outside of Seneca, Missouri, we've had this view showing nothing but clear skies all day long, all evening long, and that's one big reason why we started out so cold this morning, upper 30s to lower 40s, because behind the front we had high pressure built in and a lot of dry air with the light breeze and clear skies. But since those same conditions held firm throughout the course of the day, we quickly went back into the lower 60s this afternoon to start things out, and then everybody topped out in the middle to upper 60s for a beautiful Saturday afternoon. We've had absolutely nothing to track across the entire 4-state region throughout the day, but breaking down the surface map, I am watching a few things. First and foremost, high pressure right along the Texas-Oklahoma border. That's still in charge as we wrap up our weekend tomorrow. But I'm watching our next frontal system. Doesn't look impressive now, way up in the Pacific Northwest, but that's the next storm system on the way in. It's got a lot of real estate though, and it's got to fight this temporary upper level ridge before it can change anything up. As long as we sneak back under this upper level ridge over the next few days, that is going to mean a little warming trend as we get the upcoming week underway. As far as where we go from here on out though, everyone's clear, everyone's quiet, but a light southerly breeze will build in. That means I don't think it'll be as cold to start Sunday morning out, but it's going to be quite a cool start nonetheless. With Joplin bottoming out at 44, most of us though outside of Joplin will be fair game to drop back into the lower to middle 40s to start the day out. Then 66 by noon. And that's not looking bad for tomorrow either. Joplin topping out at 73 with a light south and southwest breeze throughout the day. Everyone though, fair game to go lower to middle 70s. Not a bad way to wrap up this weekend. Looking down the road though, we're underneath the ridge going into Monday. That keeps us mainly in the mid 70s for highs. Quiet through Tuesday. Then there's that next storm system. It'll bring our next front in. Some scatter rain and storms on Wednesday. Then we're going to turn mild again behind that storm system, starting the weekend out on the dry note before we see maybe another shot for rain by Saturday. So the upcoming week looks pretty good overall. 73 Sunday, 74 Monday, 76 on Tuesday with morning lows in the upper 40s to about the mid 50s. We'll watch for rain chances on Wednesday and Saturday, Mike, but you can't beat these temperatures, especially mid to upper 60s by the end of the week.
As always, Nick. And when we return, U.S. immigration policy might soon experience a blast from the past.
The Biden administration is planning reluctantly to resume a Trump-era migration policy. I'm Rich Edson in Peñitas, Texas, and I'll have that story coming up.
The Department of Homeland Security says it is working with Mexico to bring back a Trump-era migration policy. This comes as the southern border continues to see an influx of migrants. Fox News' Rich Edson has the details.
Complying with a court order, the Biden administration is working to reinstate a controversial border policy next month. Former President Trump implemented the Remain in Mexico program in 2019. It requires asylum seekers to stay in Mexico until their U.S. immigration court date. President Biden ended the program on his first day in office, calling it inhumane. Critics say they're skeptical the administration will follow through.
They're going to do the absolute bare minimum they possibly can with respect to reinstating MPP to the point that it will have almost no impact whatsoever because of their radical commitment to open borders.
The decision comes as migrants continue to flock to the border and overwhelm law enforcement agencies. Border Patrol documents obtained by Fox News show at least 160,000 undocumented migrants have been released into the U.S. since March, often with little to no supervision.
Millions of the individuals here in the United States who are undocumented have been contributing members of our communities. Even if we had the resources, we would not spend them on removing our neighbors.
Meanwhile, Texas authorities say on Thursday, National Guard soldiers in Roma were fired at from across the border. The suspected shooters are believed to be cartel gunmen from Mexico. Officials say heavily armed groups are becoming more common in that region. As for southwest border crossings, apprehensions are on pace to exceed any year in recorded history. In Penitas, Texas, Rich Edson, Fox News.
A study led by UCLA public health researchers says Americans drank and smoked more during the coronavirus pandemic. The study also says Americans exercised less while piling up more time in front of a screen. More than 2,700 participants self-reported lifestyle behaviors during the pandemic. Alcohol consumption was up 23%, smoking was up 9%, exercise decreased by more than 31%, and screen time increased by more than 60%. Right after the break, the supply chain crisis is about much more than just getting cargo ships into ports and unloaded. Fox News' William LaJeunesse reports from the Port of Los Angeles, and he says some of the biggest problems are still to come. That's next. Welcome back to your news at 9. The supply chain crisis is about much more than just getting cargo ships into port and unloaded. Fox News' William LaJeunesse is at the Port of Los Angeles, and he says some of the biggest problems are still to come.
The clock is ticking on America's retailers. Black Friday, the day stores are supposed to become profitable, is just 6 weeks away. Yet experts say it could take months to untangle kinks in the supply chain.
Terminals do not have room to store containers. Truckers don't have enough chassis or tractors or enough drivers to manage the flow of goods that continues to bottleneck at the ports.
It's going to begin operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
But officials admit the president's ambitious target isn't happening soon at scale.
We've been mostly focused on the next 80 days or so.
We've got work happening at the port 7 days a week today, but we want to make sure we're in sync with the other players in the supply chain.
We're certainly trying to move to more effective 24/7 operations. I'm not sure how much of that we're actually going to get done in the near term, but it's a good goal.
A major choke point, the ports of LA and Long Beach, where 77 ships are waiting offshore and 25 more are arriving in the next 3 days.
Today, we're at 6 imports for every export container. That's the widest trade gap we've seen.
America's trade gap with China surged 11% in August, pushing America's total trade deficit up 34% from a year ago. That's reflected in California's jam-packed warehouses with only 2% vacancy. The main reason? There aren't enough truckers to move it. Industry wants Washington's help.
At 18, you can go fight for your country in the military, you can fly a plane, but the idea that you can't drive interstate in a truck really limits the capacity for the industry.
To put this initiative in context, this week administration officials said Long Beach had already gone 24/7 and that the Port of LA would, quote, meet that effort. In fact, only 1 out of 6 terminals in Long Beach added that 3 to 7 a.m. shift, and only 4, not 7 days a week. So it would be misleading to imply that the task force immediately doubled capacity. True, the port and other stakeholders want to go 24/7, but 80 days? Well, 2 to 3 months, that's not days or weeks. At the Port of Los Angeles, William LaJeunesse, Fox News.
Pressure is mounting on President Biden. There's inflation, higher prices, and product shortages, plus continued Democratic infighting over his spending proposals. Fox News' Jackie Heinrich breaks it down.
Trending on Twitter Friday, hashtag #BareShelvsBiden, just one day after Empty Shelves Joe was the top political hashtag. Social media users continuing to lash out as experts warn the supply chain crisis threatening the economy will likely keep shortages and price hikes a reality through the holidays. Compounding economic woes for the Biden administration, new numbers from the Labor Department showing import prices rose last month after falling in August. In the 12 months through September, prices shot up 9.2%, up from 8.9% in August. The increase a little under what forecasters predicted, but high costs of food and rent pushed up inflation, as did the cost of energy, the price of crude above $80 a barrel. The threat of runaway inflation prompting former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers to warn the Federal Reserve policymakers don't have their eye on the ball.
We have a generation of central bankers who are defining themselves by their wokeness. They're defining themselves as by how socially concerned they are. They've grown up and had their whole experience shaped by a period when inflation was below target.
The president capped off the week in Connecticut trying to sell his multi-trillion-dollar spending plans, still stalled in Congress.
I'm convinced we're going to get it done. We're not going to get $3.5 trillion. We'll get less than that, but we're going to get it. And we're going to come back and get the rest.
As Democrats remain divided, the president is pushing for action as Democrats grow leery about the impact on the midterms.
They're not about left versus right. They're not about, moderate versus progressive or anything else that pits one American against another. These bills, in my view, are literally about competitiveness versus complacency.
And returning to the White House from that trip to sell his spending plans, the president took questions for the first time this week on the tarmac a short while ago. He expressed confidence despite building pressure and tough economic conditions. At the White House, Jackie Heinrich, Fox News.
Dollar Tree is planning a hiring event next Wednesday. Their goal is to add thousands of employees at its Dollar Tree, Family Dollar, and distribution centers across the country. They're also gearing up for a busy holiday season amid a widespread labor shortage. The positions will be both permanent and seasonal. When we return, things are looking up for former President Bill Clinton. A non-COVID medical issue recently put the ex-president in a Southern California hospital, but doctors say he'll soon be back on his feet. Details are next. Democrats are using a special process to pass their big social spending plan. It's called budget reconciliation. Fox News' Chad Pergram explains how it works.
Senators can filibuster virtually any bill. You can bypass a filibuster with 60 votes, but it's hard to wrangle 60 yeas in the Senate. But you don't need 60 votes for budget reconciliation.
The issue of reconciliation, which is like code to the American people.
It's confusing. A reconciliation bill is exempt from a filibuster. It only needs 51 votes to pass. But here's the catch. Only certain things qualify for a reconciliation bill. Reconciliation is reserved for taxes and entitlements, fiscal issues. D.C. statehood doesn't qualify for reconciliation. Immigration, not quite. Senate parliamentarian Elizabeth McDonough decides what's in or out.
Abiding by the ruling of the parliamentarian is essential to the function of the Senate.
But even the man partly responsible for writing the reconciliation process in the 1970s, late Senate parliamentarian Bob Dove, said senators now use reconciliation as a crutch.
I wish if there were anything I could undo in my life, it was ever helping create the reconciliation process in the Budget Act. It is now a monster, and it is showing its monstrous qualities repeatedly as it's used by both parties.
Reconciliation remains the only way the Senate can seemingly pass major bills. That's why there's a push to alter the filibuster. On Capitol Hill, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
Doctors say former President Bill Clinton has been making excellent progress as he recovers from a urological infection at a Southern California hospital. They say the former commander-in-chief will remain overnight at the University of California Irvine Medical Center and continue to receive intravenous antibiotics. But they expect to discharge him tomorrow. Clinton's spokesman says the ex-president is in great spirits and is spending time with his family. Well, don't go anywhere. We have got a lot more news headed your way, as well as another look at your weather with meteorologist Nick Kelly and your KOAM Sports Report with Sports Director Jacob Leonard. That's all coming up right here on your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. Still to come, 3 deputies in Houston were ambushed while working security at a bar, and one of them didn't survive. You'll learn what happened next. 3 deputies were shot outside a Texas bar early this morning. The shooting killed one of the deputies and wounded the other 2. According to police, the deputies who were working security responded to a disturbance outside the 45 North Barn Lounge in Houston. While the deputies were trying to arrest someone, another person ambushed them. The suspect opened fire using a rifle. A person of interest was taken into custody, but police are still searching for the suspected shooter. We're not done with crime-related stories from Houston. An hours-long hostage situation between Houston police officers and an armed suspect has ended. Police say a driver inside of a pickup truck was held at gunpoint by an armed passenger in southwest Houston. The Houston SWAT team and negotiation team quickly responded to the scene and worked to de-escalate the situation. The gunman was arrested by police officers and taken into custody 2 hours after the standoff began. Houston police officials are working to gather details regarding the relationship of the passenger and the driver at this time. We'll be right back with meteorologist Nick Kelly and another look at your weather. Stay tuned.
It was nice to have a Saturday to enjoy absolutely open blue skies and a good jump in temperatures. Certainly deserved after we had to track quite a few storm systems throughout the course of the week on the heels of the last one that came on through yesterday with some rain during the morning and then gradually clearing things out throughout the day. Look at how the temperatures played out. We had morning highs in the mid 60s the other day and then bouncing between the upper 50s and lower 60s yesterday afternoon. But the cold front certainly lived up to its name, dropping back around 40 across much of the area to start this morning out, but we made no problems whatsoever pushing back into the mid-60s for this afternoon. It's a trend that will certainly take because we're seeing quite a bit of red on the monthly recap here. Normally, October should be one of the cooler months going into the start of fall, but we had 83 on Sunday before that vigorous storm system came in, 71 Monday, back into the mid-70s through the middle of the week, but the past few days haven't been too bad, with temperatures topping out in the mid-60s. From Indigo Sky Casino Resort outside of Seneca, Missouri, we've had this view showing nothing but clear skies all day long, all evening long, and that's one big reason why we started out so cold this morning, upper 30s to lower 40s, because behind the front we had high pressure built in and a lot of dry air with the light breeze and clear skies. But since those same conditions held firm throughout the course of the day, we quickly went back into the lower 60s this afternoon to start things out, and then everybody topped out in the middle to upper 60s for a beautiful Saturday afternoon. We've had absolutely nothing to track across the entire 4-state region throughout the day, but breaking down the surface map, I am watching a few things. First and foremost, high pressure right along the Texas-Oklahoma border. That's still in charge as we wrap up our weekend tomorrow. But I'm watching our next frontal system. Doesn't look impressive now, way up in the Pacific Northwest, but that's the next storm system on the way in. It's got a lot of real estate though, and it's got to fight this temporary upper level ridge before it can change anything up. As long as we sneak back under this upper level ridge over the next few days, that is going to mean a little warming trend as we get the upcoming week underway. As far as where we go from here on out though, everyone's clear, everyone's quiet, but a light southerly breeze will build in. That means I don't think it'll be as cold to start Sunday morning out, but it's going to be quite a cool start nonetheless. With Joplin bottoming out at 44, most of us though outside of Joplin will be fair game to drop back into the lower to middle 40s to start the day out. Then 66 by noon. And that's not looking bad for tomorrow either. Joplin topping out at 73 with a light south and southwest breeze throughout the day. Everyone though, fair game to go lower to middle 70s. Not a bad way to wrap up this weekend. Looking down the road though, we're underneath the ridge going into Monday. That keeps us mainly in the mid 70s for highs. Quiet through Tuesday. Then there's that next storm system. It'll bring our next front in. Some scatter rain and storms on Wednesday. Then we're going to turn mild again behind that storm system, starting the weekend out on the dry note before we see maybe another shot for rain by Saturday. So the upcoming week looks pretty good overall. 73 Sunday, 74 Monday, 76 on Tuesday with morning lows in the upper 40s to about the mid 50s. We'll watch for rain chances on Wednesday and Saturday, Mike, but you can't beat these temperatures, especially mid to upper 60s by the end of the week.
Well, thanks again, Nick, and stay tuned, sports fans. We'll be right back with Sports Director Jacob Leonard and your KOAM News at 9 Sports Report.
The Missouri Southern Lions are at home tonight, hosting the Central Missouri Mules. The Missouri Southern is 2-4 through 6 games, but they picked up a big win last time out, beating Lincoln 52-32. Tonight, Southern aims for their first home win since 2018 and back-to-back wins for the first time in 7 years. Mules up 7-3. Josh Mercer gets to the outside and flies by everybody. Goes 56 yards for the score. Lions on top. Now UCM with a big play here. Carthage High School product, Arkell Smith. Crosses to the far side. He gets the touchdown. We've got another lead change. Missouri Southern answers back to the run game. This time Nathan Glades gets in. Makes it 17-14 Lions. First quarter scoring frenzy. Second quarter all defense. Malachi Broadnax comes up with the interception. They turn that into 3. Lions go up 6 at halftime. Now UCM leads down the stretch. Dawson Hurl, though, check it out, gets the throw off as he's taken down. Taylor Thomas takes it in for the 48-yard touchdown. The Lions within 1. As time expires here, Nick Williams' 27-yard field goal is good. And that's the game winner. Missouri Southern tops Central Missouri in a nail-biter 30-28.
Dawson came to the sideline and told me, "You give me a stop, JoJo, and we'll score. We'll go win this thing for y'all." So, and I shook his hand, and I knew he meant it. So that was a different experience right there for both of us.
They have full confidence in me to do what I do, and again, that just helps me out a lot. And Coach Bradley I feel like he's got utmost confidence in me, which helps me out and, go out there and do it.
This weekend is homecoming weekend for the Pittsburg State Gorillas. Pitt State welcomes in Lincoln today, looking to bounce back from a tough loss at Northwest last weekend. The Gorillas are 4-2 coming into this one. Lincoln 0-5. Lincoln back to punt early. Adam Smith flies in for the block for Pittsburg State. Gorillas with good field position. And just a few plays later, Max Sexton fakes the handoff, turns on the wheels and scores. 27-yarder for Sexton. It's 7-0 Pitt State. Then the pass game gets going. Sexton to Bryce Murphy. The Neosho product breaks loose for the 29-yard touchdown. Gets the PSU lead to 14. Another local guy, former Pittsburgh Purple Dragon Elijah Harris. Just can't let him get behind you, man. Harris, 74-yard touchdown catch and run. His first of 2 touchdowns. It's now 21-0. You want some more local guys? All right, how about this guy? Former Frontenac Raider Brandon Malikas gets the interception for Pitt State. Then this is the one that brought the house down, all right? Adam Albertini, the St. Paul product. 52-yard touchdown for Albertini. Gorillas roll 59-7, but that touchdown there, no doubt, favorite play of the day for the Gorillas.
It was pretty crazy. Teeny is he's a well-loved guy on the team. He works hard. Like I said, he's one of those guys that he works hard in games like this. He gets his chances, and you can see what he could do with it.
It was exhilarating, man. It was awesome. Just I love Teeny's a great kid. Great kid. Comes from St. Paul, this area, and works his butt off. Wouldn't want another guy to do it but him.
He's just a goofy kid. Everyone on the team loves him and wants to see him do good. So it was awesome to see that long run of his.
The Fort Scott Greyhounds picked up their first win of the season last weekend, shutting out RPA College. And Fort Scott remains at home this week, aiming for back-to-back wins with a tough one against Coffeyville. The Red Ravens, 4-0, ranked 7th in the nation coming into this one. And Greyhounds with the punt in the second quarter here. Come up with a big play on special teams. Returner muffs the punt. Abias Wakes jumps on it for Fort Scott. Game pretty slow to start. It's 3-3 at half. In the third, though, Coffeyville pulls away. Handoff goes to Star Thomas. He gets through to the far side and in. Red Ravens take a 10-3 lead. The Fort Scott defense, though, continues fighting all day. On the Jackson Thomas run, Ethan Hicks makes the hit, causes the fumble, then recovers the fumble. Coffeyville, though, just too much today here in the fourth. Thomas rolls out and finds Isaiah Taylor. One move for Taylor, and he's into the end zone. Red Ravens pull away to stay perfect, beating Fort Scott 31-3. The Independence Pirates, 6-0, ranked number 3 in the nation. They're at home this evening against the Dodge City Conquistadors. It was close for a while, but Indy pulls away 47-17. The Pirates are now 7-0 on the season. They'll host Coffeyville on the 31st. One more JUCO game here. NEO on the road against Cisco, looking for their third win in 4 games. Norsemen miss a late 43-yard field goal, fall in a tight one, 14-12. NEO will be back at home next weekend hosting Gordon's Prep. And that's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
Welcome back. The time of combat, stress, and fear is over for an Afghan translator's family, as they are resettled and welcomed by a North Carolina community grateful for their service during the long Afghanistan war. Fox News' Jennifer Griffin has that story.
Cheers erupted in this North Carolina farming community as neighbors welcomed an Afghan translator and his family, who were rescued in August by a U.S. senator, a private veterans group, and members of the 82nd Airborne.
Whatever we can do to welcome them here and make them comfortable and make them feel like they are at home now.
The translator, who is affectionately called Johnny by the American troops who served alongside them during the toughest combat in Afghanistan, he hugged Sergeant Mike Verardo. The last time they had seen each other was over a decade ago, as Sergeant Verardo was put on a medevac and flown to Walter Reed after being blown up in southern Afghanistan.
He lost his leg. I'm so sorry about him. He just did a great job for my country, for my people, also for his country.
The last part of this Afghan family's perilous journey began at Fort Lee, Virginia, and ended outside their new home, lent to him by a veteran.
We just happened to be in a place and a time where we were able to do that.
We are going to weave these combat interpreters right into the fabric of the veteran community.
Now this 82nd Airborne veteran's 3 young daughters will be neighbors with his Afghan translator's 3 daughters on a farm in North Carolina, where Senator Tom Tillis worked nonstop to get the U.S. government to rescue Johnny.
It was late nights, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. We were uncertain if we were going to be successful, and I told Mike I wouldn't rest until I heard wheels up. We took a lot of scissors to the red tape.
Tillis still has a list of 900 Afghan allies he's trying to evacuate. The 82nd Airborne's motto is first in, last out.
I lost a lot of my husband in Afghanistan, and being able to have Johnny here with us is just incredible, and I'm here to embrace him, support him, his family, and see a community do the same.
Jennifer Griffin, Fox News.
The number of substitute teachers needed continues to rise as more and more spots go unfilled. Fox News' Spencer Joseph takes a look at the problem in Utah.
It is a serious problem, and today we stopped into Copper Hills High School to find out just exactly how they're dealing with the shortage of substitute teachers. It's a normal day at Copper Hills High School. The students are in class. The hallways are packed. But there's one thing missing.
We're finding that there just aren't enough substitutes to cover the substitute assignments that we have available each day. Probably within the last month, we've seen that we've had 1 to 3 of those each day that go unfilled.
Okay, let's try that again. Principal Brian Veazey loves his Grizzlies and makes sure that their learning environment is the best it can be. But he admits things have been tough.
Last year was probably the most difficult year in the history of education, and that this year is most likely the most important. Teachers are tired. They really didn't get the break that they need. We find that with those empty positions that it becomes quite a scramble.
So how are you filling some of that?
It's kind of an interesting situation. We reach out to teachers. Teachers have been getting numerous emails each day for the last month or more asking if they're willing to cover for a colleague during their prep period.
Teachers like Ray Boren.
Sports, what is sports?
Who teaches American Sign Language. She fills in where she can too, but if that doesn't work out.
3 of my 5 assistant principals who have been in the classroom teaching classes.
It's not just a problem here. Across Jordan School District daily, they have about 200 to 300 positions for subs, and every single day they fall short of that number.
You get the satisfaction that, you're helping educate these students.
But there is some help on the way. To incentivize new subs, the district is launching a new program.
Inviting people to try it out, see if they like it, and there is some incentive now of up to $500 for people who want to come and try out being a substitute teacher.
So if you've ever considered giving teaching a try, these passionate educators want you to know.
If they have the time available and if they have an interest in doing something outside of the box, I would encourage them to consider being a substitute teacher.
This is a great time to try it, see if you like it, and maybe you like working in our schools.
We're not done yet here on your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. And when we return, we have got some Halloween advice for the parents and guardians tuning in.
Halloween celebrates the scary, but inflation and COVID-19 can be scarier. I'm Ashley Strohmeyer with what experts say you can do to keep yourself safe and save some money coming up.
Welcome back to your News at 9. Dr. Anthony Fauci recently gave American kids the green light to go out and trick-or-treat this year. But experts say there are some things you should be doing to make sure your kids are safe, and they've also got some advice on saving some cash during spooky season. Fox News' Ashley Strohmeyer takes a look.
Halloween is as big for some people as Christmas is for other people.
Halloween is right around the corner, but COVID-19 and rising costs for consumer goods are putting a strain on some families. New data from the Labor Department found wholesale prices rose by almost 9% in 12 months, making it more expensive to buy candy in bulk. Instead, experts have some cheaper alternatives.
Pencils, stickers, little knickknacks and prizes that you can pick up at your local dollar store.
There's also creative ways to avoid spending money on new costumes this year by swapping with neighbors.
They're used one time, so they're usually in excellent condition, and it's just a super simple way to kind of trade costumes back and forth. You get a new costume every year, and it's free.
Meanwhile, even though the nation is seeing a drop in new COVID-19 cases, doctors say you should still be mindful and wear a mask.
There are a lot of creative ways to make those masks be incorporated into the child's costume.
And if you're going to give out candy, health officials advise limiting contact.
A single candy bar wrapped on a table, have it be not very next to another candy bar, keep them spaced apart.
Right.
Perfectly fine.
But no matter how chaotic the world gets, many say it's important to celebrate holidays.
We can't forget about the tradition that we have. And if we lose that tradition, we've lost so much.
Ashley Strohmeyer, Fox News.
A conspiracy of lemurs is getting into the Halloween spirit. Ring-tailed lemurs got some treats and no tricks as they snacked on pumpkins as part of the Oregon Zoo's animal enrichment efforts that help improve the animals by being put in challenging activities and stimulating environments. There are more than 100 known species of lemur. Outside of captivity, they can only be found in Madagascar and the nearby Comoro Islands. Well, thanks so much for spending some of your Saturday with us. We'll see you tomorrow for more KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. Have a great night. Stay safe out there.